Okay, welcome to this tutorial, guys, on addition and subtraction of fractions. I know most people hate fractions, but they're not so bad. Give them a chance, come on. Okay, anyway, so when dealing with fractions, the first thing we need to do is get an LCD. So an LCD is the lowest common denominator. Essentially, we need to get the denominator, which is the bottom part of a fraction, to look the same. Okay, so in this question we can see there's an x minus 4 and there is a 4 minus x. Okay, so to change this to look like x minus 4, we can introduce a negative sign right there. Okay, so rewriting that, we get 2 over x plus 4 minus 8x over x plus 4 times x minus 4. Okay, then we bring this negative sign up. So a negative times a negative is a positive x, and we switch the order. So we have x minus 4 now. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so now our LCD we know is going to equal x plus 4, x minus 4. Okay, so for simplicity's sake, I'm going to write LCD, but in a test or exam, you need to write this out. Okay, so then what we need to do is for each term, which are these, so we've got 3 terms here. For each term, we need to see what we're missing in the LCD and multiply the numerator by that. So the first term is missing x minus 4. The second term has both of them, so we're just going to rewrite that. And the last term is missing an x plus 4. And that is all over LCD. Okay, now I'm going to multiply that out. So we get 2x minus 8 minus 8x plus x squared plus 4x all over LCD. Okay, then we get x squared. Highest powers usually come first. We've got a plus 2 plus 4 is 6, minus 8 is a minus 2x. We have a minus 8 over LCD. And then what we have is we can factorize this. I'm going to use factorization by inspection. So we have x minus 4 and x plus 2. Okay, so the way I did that quite quickly is you look at the first terms. So we need an x squared, so x times x is an x squared. The last term we need a minus 8, so minus 4 times minus 2. And the sum of x times 2 is 2x, and minus 4 times 4 is minus 4x, which gives us our, when we add these two together, we get minus 2x, which is that middle term. Okay, so that's how you get that. And all of this is over our LCD. And I'm going to write out the LCD, which is x minus 4, x plus 4. Okay, and then these cancel. So our final answer is x plus 2 divided by x plus 4. Okay, so by having an LCD and by factorizing, we're able to remove some of these terms and simplify this long expression into one expression. Okay, looking at the next question, again, we need an LCD. I'm just going to factorize the first term, so that becomes x minus 5, x plus 5, using dots of difference of 2 squares, which we've gone over before. X plus 5. Okay, so we have an LCD of x plus 5, x minus 5. Okay, so again, we look at the first term, it's got both of them, so we leave it. Minus 2 times, it's only got x plus 5, so we need an x minus 5 all over our LCD. So we get x minus 2x plus 10 over our LCD equals 10 minus x over x plus 5, x minus 5. Okay, so I've chosen to put the 10 in first because it's positive, but writing minus x plus 10 is all the same. Okay, so again, we can factorize this, and something we can see is we can factorize the top by pulling out a 2. So we get 2 x plus 4 over, and we can pull out an x, then we're left with x squared plus x minus 2 all over, and then the next term is 2 over 1 minus x. Okay, so we can factorize the bottom even more of the first term, because we can get x plus 2 times x minus 1. Okay, so again, x squared minus 2x, and the sum of minus x plus 2x gives us the positive x. Okay, and then I can see that we have an x minus 1, so I'm just going to introduce a negative sign here, and we can swap the order of the bottom. That becomes x minus 1, just to simplify everything. Okay, and then, there's a bit of a mistake here that I've made. This right here should be plus 2 when I pull out the 2. Okay, so what we can see here is these two cancel, leaving us with 2 over x minus 1 minus 2 over x minus 1. Okay, so now we can see that our LCD equals x minus 1. Looking at the first term, it's got both, so we can write that as 2 minus 2, and it's missing an x over x minus 1. Okay, we can factor out a 2 in the top term, so we have 2, 1 minus x over x minus 1. Okay, so I want to get 1 minus x to look like x minus 1, so I pull out a negative, so it's a negative 2, can change the order over x minus 1, just give myself some space. Okay, so then what we're left with is these two things cancelling, so we're left with minus 2 over x, and that is our final answer. Okay, looking at the next question, so there's a lot of factorizing that needs to happen here. Hopefully you're familiar, and we can go through this quite easily. So we have x minus 10 times x minus 3 over x minus 3 squared x plus 2 minus, I'm going to pull out a 3, so we have x minus 2. Okay, yeah, and then I'm going to factorize the bottom using dots, x plus 2, and the last term we can't do anything with, 3. Okay, cool stuff. Now let's simplify some stuff. So this x minus 3 cancels with one of these, so we're left with 1 at the bottom there. This x minus 2 cancels with that x minus 2. Okay, so now we can rewrite that, x minus 10 over x minus 3, x plus 2 minus 3 over x plus 2 plus 2 over x minus 3. So our LCD equals x plus 2, x minus 3. Okay, so now we just need to multiply out and see what we're left with. So the first term has got both of the factors, so we have x minus 10 minus 3. We've got x plus 2, so we're missing x minus 3 plus 2 for the next one, and we're missing x plus 2. That's all over our LCD. Okay, multiplying that out, we get x minus 10 minus 3x plus 9 plus 2x plus 4 all over our LCD. Again, I'm going to need a little bit of space. Let's do that. Okay, so we have a positive x, so 1x plus 2x equals 3x, minus 3x equals 0. Okay, minus 10 plus 9 is minus 1, plus 4 is 3 over LCD, which is x plus 2, x minus 3. And that is our final answer. Okay, good stuff. I think this is the last question. Yes, it is. Okay, so let's start by factorizing again. So we have x minus 2 squared, but we can have x minus 2 for simplicity, plus 1 over x minus 3 squared, or we can write it out twice just so it's easier to see, minus 2 over x minus 3 x minus 2. Okay guys, so if you're not comfortable with factorizing, I suggest you go and try just do some examples and get better at it so that you're able to factorize quite easily. Okay, so let's think about what our LCD is. So we have nothing cancels in any of the terms, so we're left with quite an ugly LCD of x minus 2 squared, because we've got two of them there, we've got one there, so we have to have 2, and x minus 3 again squared, because we have 2 of them there. Okay, so let's see what we need. For the first term, we need 1 times, we've got the x minus 2's, so we need x minus 3 squared. The second term needs x minus 2 squared, and the last term needs an x minus 3 x minus 2. Okay, all over the LCD. So multiplying this out, we get x squared minus 6x plus 9 plus x squared minus 4x plus 4 minus 2 times x squared minus 5x plus 6. Okay, all over our LCD again. And we can simplify this, so we have x squared plus x squared gives us 2x squared, minus 6x minus 4x gives us minus 10x, plus 9 plus 4 gives us plus 13, minus 2x squared plus 10x minus 12. So they have simply multiplied that into everything. And that is all over the LCD. Okay, now we can look at things. Some things cancel. So we have a positive 2x squared minus 2x squared gives us 0, minus 10x plus 10x gives us 0, and plus 13 minus 12 gives us 1, all over our LCD, which is x minus 3 squared, x minus 2 squared. And that is the final answer. Okay, so I just want to go over some things, especially with these squares. So how do I multiply out x minus 3 squared? Simply you square the first term, squared, then you go first term times the second term times 2, which is a minus 6x. You need to take into consideration the sign, and you square the entire second term. That becomes plus 9. Okay, let's think about the other one, which is x minus 2 squared. So if we have something in bracket, a single x to the power of 1 plus or minus a constant, what we do is we square the first term, 2 times the first times the second gives us minus 4x, and then square the second term, plus 4. Okay, and then looking at the last one, x minus 3, x minus 2, what I do is I multiply the first two terms, gives us x squared, multiply that plus the multiplication of that, so I do outer plus inner. So I essentially know that they're all going to have an x, so I just need to see what minus 2 minus 3, which is minus 5, leave the x, and then you multiply the outer two, the last two, which gives us plus 6. Okay, so that's just a quick tip on how to do those multiplications. If you want, I can do a separate video on that as well. So that's all the questions I have for you guys. I hope it was useful. Again, I hope you guys can just, instead of watching me do the question, just pause the video, do the question, and then check your answers against mine. And thanks for watching, guys.